This is what we have, the mini project one. Okay, so we are going to have a subsequent mini project two as well. So this assessment type is practical assignment and report. And I mean, I've just kept this as a due date. I mean, which could be, which we can always figure out.
Hmm.
So yeah. So this is the overview of the mini project. So here we will have to examine a data file and carry out the first steps of data science process, including the cleaning and exporting of the data. And we have to develop and implement appropriate steps in Jupyter Notebook to load a data file into memory, clean, process, and analyze it. So these assignments provide practical experience with the typical first steps of the data science process. And these are the learning outcomes. You can just go through them. So let me just come to the assessment details, right? So of course that you have to do all those analysis in Jupyter Notebook, and parts of this assessment will include a written report. So you have to submit a report, which should be in a PDF format, and that you have to ensure your submission follows the naming rules specified. So as because like we have case sensitive, so it does that example what we have here. Okay, so coming to the data preparation, so we are going to work with this automobile.csv file, so which is available in the summary. So in the later part of section 6. So this automobile dataset consists of the specification of an auto in terms of various characteristics. It's assigned insurance risk rating along with its normalized losses in use as compared to other cars. So this is the original dataset, which is donated to the UCI repository by Jeffrey C. Slimmer. So these are the attributes, the variables that we are going to deal with. So I'll just, if I can just zoom in a bit, I guess that is not there, right? Yeah. So these are the variables that we are going to work with, and I guess this is very much self-explanatory, but still I'm just gonna go through all of them one by one. So symboling, so that actually gives you the insurance risk rating, where +3 indicates high risk and -3 indicates safe. So of course, all those things what we have under symboling, so that is those are going to be in between -3 to +3. So which gives you the information about the risk or insurance risk associated with the vehicle, right? As because we are dealing with an automobile dataset. And then we have normalized losses. So normalized losses in use as compared to other cars, right? So with respect to other cars, I mean, how much normalized losses are there? Make is the company of the car. Fuel type is whether it's petrol, diesel, gasoline, all those things. Aspiration is whether it's naturally aspirated or turbocharged, all those stuff. Number of doors, how many doors are there in the car? Body style, whether it's SUV, MUV, hatchback. Driving wheel, so drive type of the car, maybe six-wheel drive. I guess drive wheels are drive type. Yeah, so it's whether it's forward wheel drive or backward wheel drive, or 4x4 all wheel drive, like that. Engine is whether it's located in the front or in the rear or somewhere in the middle. So all those information. Wheelbase, so that gives you the measurement of the wheel. Length of the car, width of the car, height of the car. Curb weight, so the curb weight of the car, I'm quite not sure because I'm not an expert from automobiles, but I guess this is the weight while this is some weight basically, curb weight. Then you have engine type, so the type of engine. Okay, so again that is another parameter which gives you some information about the engine type, maybe uh, four-cylinder engine. No, we have number of cylinders, so that actually gives you the information about the number of cylinders that you are using. Engine type, I mean, I have to look into the data. So maybe it could be turbo or non-turbo or something, petrol, diesel, like that. Engine size, right? Fuel system. So we have fuel system. So engine type should be somewhat different. Maybe types of engine that we have. Okay. The bore of the cylinder, stroke, number of strokes, compression ratio, horsepower, peak RPM, city mileage, highway mileage, price of the car. These are the variables that we are going to deal with. Okay? So next, let's just look into this one. It's just the instructions that you have. So what are the tasks that we have to do here? So we actually have to deal with all the potential issues or errors in the data appropriately, such as typos, extra white spaces, sanity checks for impossible values, and missing values, etc. So these are the primary things that we are gonna have to deal with for this data set. So if there are any missing values, so we actually have to deal with it, and replace it by some other value so that we can have uh, the whole information available with the data set. Similarly, we have to run a few sanity checks to see if there are any impossible values and also if there are any typos or extra white spaces. So all those things are what we have to identify. Okay, and this is the part 2, which is the report writing. So here you have to write a report, in the PDF format. Must not be more than 6 pages. I mean, must be at most 6 in single column format pages. Yeah, and this is the font size mentioned. So you can just go through all the particulars here what you have. Okay, and next we have the assessment criteria. This is what I want to look you. I mean, want you to look into. This is what you have under task 1, data preparation. So first you have to retrieve the data. So for that you have 1 point assigned, and you have to see, load the data in CSV format, make use of the correct arguments, including separation, decimal, header, names if needed. Then the data types. So you have to check, the data types and verify whether they are, meant to be like that. I mean, whether they are correct or not. We have to look into that. If not, then you have to correct them. Okay. Similarly, you have to check for the typos, whether there are any typos in the data. So if there are any typos, you can just correct them using masks. Now you can do it like any way you want to. Extra white spaces. So if there are any extra white spaces, again you have to find that out, and then you have to remove them. Upper lower cases. So cast all text data to uppercase by using an appropriate function. So all the text based data. So those which are categorical data. So that can be casted as upper cases. And then you have sanity checks. So here you have to design and run a small test suite, maybe which could involve box plots or some other things. But as because we haven't looked into that part, so this could be just comparing the values with the minimum values, maximum values, and see if there are any impossible values. And if there are any, then you have to change it accordingly. Similarly with the missing values. So if you are having any missing values, so you just have to replace that by the median or the column-wise mean, and you have to, take your argument in support to that. Whether replacing that by median will be a better idea, or a mean, or the measure of mean will be much suited in context, like that. And then we have the report. So here we have to create a heading called data preparation in your report. And for task 1, the corresponding numbering, the numbering you can find it out on your own, right? There available in the previous slide. And so you have to provide a brief explanation of how you address the task and explain any other choices that you have made, if appropriate. Now, of course, that can vary from person to person and how you look into that. So perspective to perspective. So you just have to write your own argument there. I mean, what are the corrections that you have done, and how is it incorrect according to you, and how is it correct? I mean, what you have done to rectify that mistake. Okay. So next we have this data exploration part. So, I mean, here you can just write the measures of maybe the descriptive measures, and if you can draw any insight from that, so you can just do all those things. Yeah. So submission format. So yeah, you have to do a notebook. So you have to submit your Jupyter notebook and some presentation. So which could be, I mean, there are 2 ways to look into this. One can be, I mean, You can prepare a video presentation with voiceover explaining your findings, or maybe we can take it in a live session where you can actually present using your PDF file. So you actually have to, submit either notebook or PDF or notebook or presentation. Yeah. So this is all what we have. So I'll just look into this rubric once more, so that I mean, yeah, if you have got like anything that bothers you as of now, so you can just check with Vignesh, and then he will be able to help you out.
Yeah, and any one of us, like if you want to just anything that you're not clear about or anything that you want to learn more about,
Yeah.
right?
I've just missed one important thing, which is this dataset and dataset information. So if you download this, so in this download tab, you will be getting the dataset itself, and this is the source of the dataset. So you can just study, I mean, this gives you the information, of course, and this is the information related to the dataset. Now, this is something attribute information. So this is our guideline in terms of cleaning the data basically. So here you will be able to understand like if your data is abnormal or taking some impossible values, as because you can see normalized losses. So that is a continuous variable, which should run from 65 to 256. So anything outside this range can be treated as abnormal value. So likewise, you have to find it out. If there is a value which is lesser than 65, so of course, we should replace that by minimum value, minimum acceptable value, which is 65. Or maybe if there is something which is greater than 256, so we have to replace that particular entry by 256. Or maybe, there can be some other suggestions, welcome from you. Similarly, these are the make of the car, right? So you can just check, if there are any sort of typos or something, then you have to correct that as well. So fuel type, aspiration, yeah, like I was telling you, number of doors, body style, okay, drive wheel, engine location. So all these are given from this. So this is the lower limit, this is the upper limit. So nothing, in your data can be beyond this range. So you just have to match everything with respect to this document with this information, attribute information available with your data set. So with respect to this, you have to clean the data. Okay. Yeah.
Sounds
So I'll
good.
just So I'll just open this one, so that if you have got any doubt, so you can just ask him.
Yeah. Okay. Spandana, Zaira, any question so far?
No, sir. Interesting.
No, sir.
Okay. So now this is where you are, right? Remember, this is going to be a mini project. So this is where your actual data science role, right? Start thinking what all things can be done from the data. You're beginning to learn something, and it's all about the practice that you're going to do, right? How many, right from the beginning when we say that, okay, spend at least 2 hours a day, or maybe 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever number of hours that you want to spend, basically because when you get data sets, remember today Vignesh was explaining something which was related to you create your own data set, which is like maybe 5 rows and 5 columns. The moment you get into the actual data sets, it extended. After, when he started doing an EDA, it went up to, let's say, 812 rows and some 12 columns. Now imagine the same thing going towards 1,000 rows and 1,000 columns, and then it will go up to 10,000 rows, 10,000 columns. So the data that is getting generated overall, if tomorrow somebody comes and tells you, okay, This is right data science role, and that is from, let's say, the Tatas. And Tata's machineries, or like number of customers who have filled in Tata Nano car, right? How it works, whether how the petrol works, whether petrol is better or diesel is better. Now Tata might be having, right, let's say 1 million customer. I mean 10 lakh customers, and you have to verify all this 10 lakhs. So they will give you this 10 lakh data. I mean, a database of 10 lakh customers, and it will have age, it will have the model, it will have the location, it will have all different things within that data. So as that goes, like, you have to analyze this entire 10 lakh. How are you going to do that? So slowly what happens is, when you're practicing with these small numbers, you will be able to get into machine learning, where you'll take the support of the machine to give out all the answers to you. And when it gives the answers, you need to know what are the answers that they're giving. And once it gives you the answer, and you interpret them and then present it to the stakeholders or whoever you need to present it. You know, if they say that, okay, prepare something which everybody, every layman should understand, you should be able to prepare something like that. So there are a lot of criteria that will come up. This is where your beginning comes in. So like, you will have to read in depth about each data set, right? And from there you will be able to take it ahead. Okay.
Yeah. So to this, actually, I wanted to add something more. I mean, the primary purpose of this dataset is predictive analysis. So we are actually trying to predict the price of a car on the basis of all these attributes that we are dealing with. So we can think of this as in terms of a regression problem, you know, where we actually want to predict the price of a car, and we have to check, you know, whether it depends on the list of attributes that we are dealing with, if there are any significant attributes or insignificant attributes. Say for an example, if you increase the number of doors in a car, so of course the price is more likely to increase. Or maybe, you know, if it's a much more fuel efficient car, so maybe, you know, the engine quality is much better, or higher cc car, so that will be resulting in likely, I mean, higher price, right? So all these things are what we actually want to study with this data set. But for any analysis, of course, this is the primary thing that we have to do is clean the data set. So for that, you know, we are into this process.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Pratyay,
Yeah.
right, yeah, so they can, you have shown that, like, it's where they can download the data.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And
So Pratyay, you are done, right?
yeah, I'm done. So if they have like any sort of doubts or anything, you know, they can let us know.
Yeah.
So accordingly, we are gonna update them.
Anybody has any doubts so far?
No, sir. No, sir.
No?
You take your
Perfect.
time, okay? So look into all these things, and then if you come across any doubts, so you can just let us know.
Perfect.